Private members' business, notice number 6, motion on energy.
I call the member for Hughes.
I move the motion relating to energy in the terms on which it appears on the notice paper. I thank you, Deputy Speaker. Firstly, last week I believe we saw a bit of a turning point in this debate in energy on our nation. And it came from the CEO of Tomago Aluminium smelter, Mr. Matt Howell. And he deserves to be congratulated for the comments that he made. And in fact, I've even gone as far, Deputy Speaker, to say he should be nominated for the Australian of the Year for the comments he made. I'd like to read them into Hansard. He said, "What we at Tomago Aluminium need is a constant supply of energy. The question is, when the sun is not shining and the wind is not blowing, where does that energy come from? If it's not coming from coal-fired power, where is it going to come from?" Now, I'll give you an example, Deputy Speaker. Last Saturday, the 9th of June, at 6 p.m, our grid, our national grid, needed 26,000 megawatts. That was the demand, 26,000. At 6 p.m, we had 0 coming from solar power. The sun had set. And we had, of the several thousand megawatts of capacity of wind, was only generating 100 megawatts. So do the numbers. We had 100 megawatts in total coming from solar and wind, and yet we needed 26,000 megawatts of electricity to avoid blackouts. That's what Matt Howell is saying. But he goes on. We have people saying batteries. The truth is this: the largest battery in the world, in South Australia, would power this smelter for a total of 8 minutes. 8 minutes. One plant, 8 minutes to the world's largest battery. It is clearly a nonsense. Well, Matt Howell has belled the cat on that, because we know we had the previous Labor government of South Australia running a fraud, a con and a hoodwink on the population of South Australia, telling them that their big battery was to back up their renewables. And yet it could do an aluminium cell like Tomago for 8 minutes. Matt Howell continued. He said, "You've got to have access to baseload power. As we see the continued penetration of subsidised renewables, it's hollowing out our baseload fleet. If we want to be a nation that makes things, rather than one that imports them, we need to have internationally competitive energy." It's worth noting, at the moment, the cost of energy or electricity in this nation is double, more than double what it is in the United States of America. He said, "And I would say, if it's good enough to export millions of tonnes of high-quality thermal coal from Australia to feed the world's growing fleet of advanced, low-emissions, high-efficiency coal-fired power stations, then it must be good enough to do the same thing here. To do anything less is rank hypocrisy." Matt Howell, hear to you, sir. And yet, Deputy Speaker, we have the Labor Party of Australia. Their plan for energy in Australia is to replicate the failed experiment that we saw in South Australia. In South Australia, we saw this mad experiment inflicted upon the residents of that state, where they had a 50% renewable energy target, and that is the exact policy that the Labor Party wants to inflict on the entire nation. And what were the results of that experiment in South Australia? It gave South Australia not only the highest electricity prices in the nation, it gave South Australia the highest electricity prices in the world. And that is what members of the Labor Party want to inflict on the entire nation. And not only was it the highest electricity prices in the world, but South Australia also had the highest rate of electricity disconnections in the nation. Kids unable to do their homework at night because they can't turn the lights on. People living without a refrigerator, unable to keep food fresh in their fridge. People unable to charge their phones, Deputy Speaker, or iron or wash their clothes. That is the policy that was inflicted upon South Australia with record disconnections, and that is the policy that the Labor Party wants to inflict on all of Australia.
It's not good enough.
It is simply not good enough. Deputy Speaker, we have a very big job. We have to get the cost of energy down in this nation and down substantially. Everything the Labor Party will do will push the price of electricity higher and higher and higher in this nation. We've seen the results in South Australia. That is what they want to cop.
I thank the member. Is the motion seconded?